Hello. At the end of the last video we were looking at this idea for the arrangement of the hot wire cut down, and while this probably would have worked and I was about to go out and test it the next chance I got, it's a little bit complicated and it doesn't solve one potentially disastrous problem, unlikely perhaps, but that is that the balloon may burst before it reaches the altitude that the hot wire is going to cut. And if that happens, the hot wire will just never cut. Maybe I could have programmed it in, but I don't know. But anyway, if the hot wire was not cut and the balloon burst, this whole structure would just sort of fall down like that, with the top of the parachute attached to the payload, and that would be a bit of a disaster. But thanks to Mr. Corky Mork in the comments, who gave a very clever suggestion, and I really should have thought of this myself, because I've sort of been racking my brains to figure out a better way to do it. But we can arrange things like this. So the dark blue string here is going up to the balloon, and here we have a slippery steel ring, and then we just loop, we tie the top of the parachute through that loop, make sure it goes up a bit from the top of the parachute, and then down again to the payload, and then inside the payload we have this one's just solidly connected to the payload and the top to the bottom of the parachute up there, and this one just goes through to the hot wire and gets cut, and there's just a knot here that comes out the top to stop it from slipping through. And this is very simple to implement, and it also solves all of the problems that we were trying to solve. So it releases above the parachute, so it cuts at the point above the parachute, but the hot wire is inside the payload. It keeps the parachute closed on the way up. There's no sort of dangly bits like this dangling around to get tangled on stuff. The payload stays the right way up all the time, so it doesn't need to, one of my suggestions, or the one that I tested in my last video, the payload flipped upside down when the hot wire cut. And of course it will be okay if the balloon bursts early, because the parachute's the right way up, and it's we'll just have the remains of the balloon here, which will be a little bit of weight there, but it shouldn't stop the parachute from opening. And like I say, it's very easy to implement, so that's what I went ahead with. A couple of days ago I checked the weather forecast and I realized that we had some perfect weather coming up, so I had to scramble to get everything ready. Okay, here's how the enclosure turned out. It's a little bit smaller than last time, I think. I didn't measure the last one, but just from memory it was a bit smaller. Anyway, this one is about that size. You can get an idea from that. And in here we have at the top the hot wire mounting piece, and then there's a little foam board shelf for the GPS to sit on. Underneath that we have the LiPo for the hot wire inside a piece of pool noodle foam, and then below that we have the main board and the 4 AA batteries, AAA batteries that is, and then the cover will fit on just like this, sort of slides over the top like that. And I think I'll just wrap some packing tape around it to hold it together. The bottoms here are also, there's a layer of packing tape underneath the string, and then some over the top of it as well, just to stop it from sliding sideways, and again at the corners here. So the way the rigging is going to be arranged, in case it wasn't clear from that diagram, this piece here that I'm holding will be connected to the bottom of the parachute. So then the parachute will be here, and then there'll be another string going from the top of the parachute through this little chain link, which is actually is a chain link, nice and smooth. So fortunately, it's not a rough, rusty one. I managed to find a nice, smooth, slippery one that doesn't have any sharp bits on it. That should allow the string to slip through quite nicely. And then that's going to go up a little bit from the top of the parachute and down again. And when it comes down, it's going to go into the top of here. Oh, there's a couple of holes here, of course. So it's going to go in that hole. And then it's a little bit tricky to do this, so you need tweezers, but with the tweezers it's fairly easy. So then it comes up, and then it goes back out through the other hole. And so that's going to give us a little bit of loop inside that goes around the hot wire. It's not quite straight up and down, you can see it's a little bit off to the angle. I wanted it to be straight up and down from this cable, but that's close enough. And then we have a little piece of thin polystyrene sheet, high impact polystyrene that is, so it's hard. It's much harder than this polystyrene, which is the point of it, because it's going to be functioning as a sort of a washer to sit there, and then we'll just put a big old knot in this wire here like that, and then the knot won't be able to slip through the washer, so it's going to pull like that, and then when the hot wire cuts it inside, it should just slip out like that. This piece will probably fly off and disappear, so I don't think we'll be seeing that anymore. So I made a couple of these because I'm going to do a test of this drop using the hexacopter right now, because it's nice and sunny and it's not very windy, so let's go and give that a try.
That should be enough, I think. Ah, there we go, there we go, there we go. Look at that, it's coming just about straight down. Holy moly. Told you there was no wind, didn't I? Look how calm it is. Man. Thankfully it's not going to go in the trees, that's good. Perfect.
When I was doing some more testing, I noticed that little DVR unit that I was planning to put on to record some video was interfering with the GPS. Now, I noticed this with the cell phone module in one of my previous videos, but I guess I must have just forgot to check what the GPS situation was. And unfortunately, it looks like this little DVR video thing would not be able to fit on. But then it became so light that it was just a real shame not to have something on there, and it would be a little bit dull just to send something up, cut the wire and have it come back down. I mean, I just did that with the hexacopter, so I thought, well, what can I do? And then I realized all I need to do was separate this video camera away from the main payload with a little bit more string and hang it below with its own battery, of course. And the battery would be out in the cold, so it was sort of a bit up in the air as to whether it would work or not in that cold temperature. But I thought it doesn't really matter, it's worth a try, and it would give me the correct weight that I wanted. So here's what the final payload weighed. Slightly more than last time. I think 146 grams is what my first launch was, but I set the neck lift of the balloon to the same because I wanted to get the same ascent rate as last time. Well, it's about an hour before my proposed launch time, and I've struck a very, very annoying problem. All of a sudden, out of the blue, after working perfectly for weeks and weeks, the NRF module is only sending about roughly half as many packets per second. This PPS number is usually about 90 or so, and it's sort of hovering around half that much on average. I have no idea why. And this one over here is this one should show about 400 typically, and these two are both low, so that means that the problem shouldn't be in the receivers, it's in the sender, which is beeping over there. Ah, man, kind of makes me think maybe I shouldn't be doing this launch now, because this radio link is the whole lifeline to like knowing where it is, you know. Well, that's interesting. I took it out of the box a little bit and laid it flat on the ground so that the antenna's flat on the carpet, and we're back up to 90 something packets per second, so still don't really know how to get around it, but seems like nothing's permanently damaged. Well, I've been playing around with this a little bit, and I've discovered that if I take this board out of the box, it works properly every time. And then when I put it back in the box, about half the time it'll work. So something must be kind of pressing up against something else when it gets put in there. And I have absolutely no idea what it could be. But the fact that it works about 50% of the time when I put it in the box means that I should still be able to do the launch today, and yeah, hopefully it won't be an issue. Alright, well, it's 9 AM, a few minutes over time, but it doesn't actually matter. I've noticed from the predictor it's not really going to change things much. So, just have to let it go, I suppose. Everything seems to be running. Let me just double check this video camera again. It's not... Oh, come on! What's the matter with this? I was going just
Oh my goodness.
to go.
Okay, I finally figured it out. Somebody was using a 3.3 volt step down regulator in between this single cell LiPo and the input, so it wasn't getting enough voltage to run both the recording DVR and the camera. So I just took the voltage regulator out and connected it straight to the LiPo. Anyway, so we're about half an hour late now, so I'm just going to let this damn thing go, and it'll go wherever it goes. Bye. Oh, I can't see anything. Okay, so I don't think that half an hour delay is actually going to mess things up too much on this particular day. It's not going up very quickly though. Let's just see what the ascent rate is here. 2.2, 2.1, 1.9, 2.3, 1.8, 2.3, 1.7, 2.2. Okay, so looks like it's about the same as last time, which is good, because that's what I plugged into my calculator. But since it's only going to 9,600 meters this time, I don't really have so much time to dilly-dally, so I'm just going to have to cut this short right here and get in my car and go driving.
So this is the prediction given by the CUSF calculator that I ran just before I left home using the current time, and it's projected to go near this Blueberry Country place, whatever that is. My original target was here, I think. So this Ngatea town, you may remember if you watched my earlier video, that was pretty much where I targeted last time. So it was just amazing that the winds were basically the same as last time, except they were, well, the direction was the same, but the speed was a lot faster. So instead of going to 17,000 meters like I was trying to that time, this time the burst point over here is only going to be 9,600 meters. But, well, that's right. Oh, and this is what that country looks like, all just flat fields. A little bit of hills here to get over, but if you can get anywhere near this area, it's just going to be flat, 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 flat.
Okay, just leaving home now, and 1,600 meters up, 4 kilometers away. Packets are, hey, look at this, about to drive through the clouds. The packets are coming in at about half as much as they were before, I mean, in the last flight. Is that a cloud or is that just mist? Anyway, yeah, but it's, the nice thing is that the packet rate is not changing with distance. So it seems like one thing that I was worried about was that because I was only getting half as many packets at close range, I'll get out of the way. That might mean that as it got further away, there would be even less. But doesn't seem to be, so that's good.
This is really hard to film with the glare in the screen there, but you can see that the balloon position and the predicted landing position are sort of moving along in the same direction. They're both going that direction, but the landing prediction, the yellow one, is leading the balloon position, so that's good. And we're about 10 kilometers away before almost 5 kilometers up, and you'll see I've put the age on the screen, so you'll be pleased to know I'm doing a lot more looking at the road while I'm driving and less looking at this thing this time, so a bit safer all around. And the main reason is that I just need to glance at this quickly to see how old the last packet was. So you can see there about a minute and a half since we received the last packet. So the what do you call it, reception is way worse than last time, but the ascent speed 2.2 meters per second looks good. Ground speed not too fast. I'm a little bit worried about this number here. It says cut down time. That's not supposed to get filled in until it has actually attempted a cut down. But these other numbers here, the tries and the lat long cut down position, are not filled in. So that's, I think that's the main thing. And then you can see the wind values. Unfortunately, I forgot to reset this before I let it go. So the lowest level there, the 9, will be kind of invalid, but that's only for the lowest 200 meters or so. and then you can see the rest of the numbers are getting filled in, except for probably that 0, maybe even the last 2 zeros are supposed to be filled in, but because I'm sitting here in a spot that has not got very good reception, we're not getting any information coming in. Anyway, so we're about halfway now. Alright, unfortunately I don't think it's going to be possible to witness the cut down happening because I'm getting precious little signal at this point. As you can see, 267, that's almost, well, it'll be 5 minutes soon, and it was at 8900, so it's probably right about to burst, right about to cut down now, and it's traveling a lot slower than predicted, so we're all three of us here moving generally from the left to the right, and I've ended up way ahead of it. This is not even where it was supposed to land. To the right of me, the red one, to the right of me is where it was supposed to land, and well, I guess, that's where it was 5 minutes ago, so it looks like it's going to be heading up to the north a little bit, so I'm just sort of going to head up to the north a little bit myself and hopefully get some more packets. There we go, that's 300 seconds is 5 minutes, so that's where it was 5 minutes ago. What else have we got to look at? Temperature was quite warm for a long time. It's only just gone below freezing inside. That's the location. Mind you, this is all 5 minutes ago. Right, here we are, all of us on the same map. Signal is pretty good. Height is 3 kilometers up, distance is 3 kilometers away from the red dot, which is me there on State Highway 2. The yellow point is the predicted landing position. So this blue, which is the balloon, and the yellow should gradually converge and get closer and closer. Hopefully the yellow doesn't move too much. Now, that's all very good, but my problem at the moment is the lack of roads between the red point and the yellow point. So I think I've got to the closest. Oh, there's a road going up there. Might be better to go up that one perhaps, but just from what I'm seeing out here, there's nowhere obvious, like there's no obvious roads going in there, so I don't think we're going to be able to get there as it lands, which would have been really cool. Well, we've got another 15 minutes probably. Oh no, not that long. No, not that long, but anyway, yeah, so we'll have to figure out who owns that land, I guess, and go for a bit of a walk. Oh, just to show you what that looks like here. It's all just farmland, no roads or nothing. Oh wait, what's this? Is that a road? Oh, look at that. Is that a road or a river? Oh, look at that. Okay, I'm going over there. I should have zoomed in a bit. Okay, I just had a chat to the nice lady at this farmhouse here, and she says I can drive up there, well, at least as far as I can drive, and then I'll have to walk to the yellow spot, and it's not too far away, just over 1 kilometre. Hopefully won't have to walk much of that, and height is not too far away either. What else do we need to look at on here? Probably nothing, although I will just take a little screenshot of this for myself in case I somehow close this app, because just on my way here, the last little bit, I had to restart the app, and I realized that when I do that I lose the last position that the balloon was shown at until you get another packet, and I was panicking there for a bit, but then some final packets came in, so it was okay. But anyway, that's the location, Chris, if you need to look at that later.
It's a good thing we haven't had a lot of rain yet, because otherwise places like this might have got me stuck. Still mostly dry though. Well, this bit here is a little bit too lumpy for my car, and it only goes another little bit there anyway, so we've got another 450 meters to walk. Wow, what a nice day. It's super calm, there's no wind or anything. Nice and sunny. Oh, this is great. Wow. another nice view. Oh, right, 255 meters that way, apparently. So less than 200 meters away now, and still not getting any signal, which is kind of strange, but perhaps that means it's just on the other side of that ridge. Hopefully not in the trees. Oh, we got some signal. Can't stop me now. So 84 meters that way, which looks good. No trees and no lakes or rivers or anything. There it is. Just down there. Bright yellow, bright orange rather. It's about 15 centimeters away from a big puddle. I wonder if the video camera is still going. Hello? Oh, it's unplugged. The FPV camera is unplugged. Damn. Must have got tangled in the wire. That's annoying. That means it wouldn't have landed. It wouldn't have recorded the landing. Oh. The landing's probably the most interesting bit to watch. I mean, the launch is boring. You know what that's going to be like. Oh, look. Did I plug it in? Pretty sure I did. Is it recording then? Oh, it is recording, look. Little blue dots going. Wow. Wonder what'll happen if I plug it in. Well, now we'll just pretend that we landed it. Yay! Oh well. It was worth a try. Hey, look at that. There's a grave right up here on top of this hill. And a little fantail. Not a bad place to spend the rest of eternity. Just sitting up here on top of the hill looking out over there. Speaking of which, look how flat it is down there. These hills here have been giving me some good exercise, but I could have done without it. Just another 2 kilometers that way, and it would have been in that super flat area. I just had a horrible feeling that I might not have plugged that FPV camera in when I launched it. No, surely not.
So as you've probably guessed by now, there was nothing useful on the SD card in the DVR recorder. When I got home and looked at the disk, there was a bunch of files like this, a whole lot more than this actually, 20 something of them, but they're all exactly the same size because they contain exactly the same data, which is 5 minutes of blank video like that. So it must be a faulty DVR unit, so I'm going to ask Runcam for my money back. I wish. No, it seems like all the evidence is pointing to the hypothesis that the video camera was just not plugged in, as much as I hate to say it. So these last two files here, one of them has something on it at the point that I showed you a little bit of, and then there's this one which has a little bit more before I turned it off. Yeah, so that sucks. So why did that happen? Well, there was about half an hour where I was cursing and yelling at the sky sort of thing, because I couldn't figure out what was going on with this. And the reason, just in case I didn't explain it too well, was that I had the LiPo coming into this, and then this was stepping down the power from... In my testing, I'd been using all different kind of batteries, usually 2S batteries, to run this. I was actually thinking originally to run the DVR and the main board off 6 of these Energizer batteries. So I would have needed this, but having running this now off just a single cell LiPo, you don't need that. So the 4.2 volts or so of this was getting stepped down to, well, what would it be, 3.2 volts maybe, if you're lucky. And so that just wasn't enough to run the DVR and the camera. That's why I had to fix it all. So I undid all this, and then I had to sort of assemble it back together. And part of the assembly of this is to get this string to go around. See, it's actually going underneath the camera cable. So I had to unplug this, put the string in there, and plug it back in, obviously. And this cable here it sort of naturally curves around into that position too, because that's where it's always been. And on top of that, it also sort of has a habit of getting stuck there if you sort of hold it like that. See how it's not plugged in, but it just sort of hooks itself over the edge of the camera. Wow, this is a really lengthy excuse, isn't it? But anyway, and then finally, the last problem was bloody Murphy's Law, which dictates that if you're going to be looking at this from one side or the other while you're doing your spiel before you let it go, it's going to be facing like this so that you don't actually notice that anything's wrong. Whereas if it had been facing like this at that last moment before I let it go, oh, we would have noticed that straight away, wouldn't we? But no, it was facing like that, and I didn't notice it. So I think that's what happened. Anyway, on the bright side, I got all of my equipment back, minus the balloon, of course, and the little chain link piece that was at the bottom of the balloon, but I have, well, literally hundreds of those, I think. 6.5 volts left on this, and I only used 4 of them this time, so it was much cheaper. And I can use them again. Geez, I don't know how many launches I could do with these batteries. They are expensive, but they're bloody good, and they're way, way lighter than any of the other ones that I've found too. Yeah, and I got all this stuff back. The LiPos, this was at 3.7 volts, and so it was only about half used. Basically, storage charge, I just put it away. And the LiPo that was powering the hot wire, which is not here, was at 4.12 volts when I picked it up, and I charged it to 4.15 volts, so it was basically unused. I actually have that on the charger doing a storage discharge now. That's how little power it used. Yeah, so I have all the equipment to just quickly do this again. I'm not sure if I have enough helium to do another one, but I have 2 more balloons. So if we get some really nice weather again, which is looking a little bit less likely at this time of year, I will try this again, and I will make sure to plug this bloody thing in, and basically all this same equipment can just go up again. So that's the end of this video. I did have just the one other thing that I wanted to show you, which was the log from the onboard SD card in here. So we just had one cut down attempt at 9,623 meters, exactly what we wanted to see. Power on duration was 2.7 seconds, and basically, yeah, that's that long. So the predictions seemed to work fairly well, but I was in a bit of a panic as I was driving, and I didn't even manage to record for you what was going on very well either. But it seemed to work quite well. And when I looked at the map to see how far away the final position of the balloon was versus the position that it was predicted, at least the last good prediction that I had when the balloon was still about 3 kilometers up, it was 500 meters away. So not as good as I was hoping for, but still a lot better than just using the CUSF predictor only. Alright, so thanks for watching. That's the end of the video, and don't know if I'll do another one, but possibly. Bye.